And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience, friends. I hope you're having a wonderful year end. You know, year end is an amazing time for me because it's the time that I get to start thinking about marketing, not only in my own business, but in so many of the clients that we have the opportunity and privilege to serve nationally. You know, Q4 is that time where you're looking at what worked for you this year and what should you do next year. You know, many businesses set their marketing budget in Q4 and start utilizing these strategies effective Q1. And whenever we jump into 2021, I mean, we're going to make 2021 the best year we've ever had in our life. 2020 kicked us in the teeth. I get it. It's been amazing. We're greatly blessed. I get it. But 2020 has been tough. 2021 is the year that, I mean, we get to come out of the blocks charging hell with a water pistol. That's where we're at. Well, I get kind of lost in marketing. I got to be honest with you. Marketing is overwhelming to me. So I happen to know a man. I happen to know an expert in the industry of marketing that I want to bring back onto the show today. So joining me is my dear friend, Mr. John Riley. How are you, brother?
Oh, man, I'm doing fabulous. How are you doing, brother?
Buddy, I am greatly blessed and highly favored, but you know that about me.
Exactly.
That's my life. So, John, you've been on the podcast with me before, we're going to put links in the show notes, obviously. But you're with Dental Revolution, and your primary business is marketing for dentists. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct.
And you work with dentists all over the country, and you work with dentists of all different shapes, flavors, different stripes, etc., different type of business models, correct?
Absolutely. And what we do as far as marketing is that it can be applied to a lot of other different types of businesses as well. But what we focus on is GPs, pedo doctors, and a few orthodontists. Absolutely.
And so because of what I've seen in your world, I want to take the principles that you work with in dentists, and I want to apply it, as you just said, across all small business owners. Look, guys, business is simple. It's not complicated. The same things that work with medical practices work with tire shops. You don't trust me? I'm telling you, friends, it's the case. So I have 4 strategic questions for John, and we're going to dive into this, have a conversation, pick the expert's brain, and hopefully, as I say, this is the Financially Simple Experience. I want you to learn something today that you can take away and you can apply in your business immediately. So let's do this, John. You ready?
I love it. I love it. Ready.
All right, 2020. 2020 has been an unbelievable year. I mean, COVID kicked everybody in the teeth, right? What should we business owners be doing right now, Q4 of this year, to make 2021 the best year ever?
I'm glad you say it that way too, because if you want to have a good 2021, you don't start in 2021. Right? In dentistry, it's built on prophy cycles, and I'm sure every business has their own sales cycle, right? And if you're wanting to get into that sales cycle and get those types of leads coming in and generate, you have to start now to be able to generate leads for 2021. So what we've seen, just real quick before we kind of hop into the actual tactics of what we're going to do, is that talk about just a quick differentiator that I've seen this year. It's night and day. The doctors that have marketed, that have not ever let off the gas in COVID times, okay, have come out so strong. They're breaking records. They're increased profits. They are doing things that are that they never thought possible in these times. Okay, where the doctors that are that weren't staged, that didn't have the ability to market at that level because financially they didn't have the nest egg that you trained them to have, things like that. They couldn't market through the COVID times. Therefore, they're the ones that are hurting because they didn't have the ability to keep the demand going in the community. So with that, I want to kind of set that stage. So as we talk about the future, is that we don't ever know what's going on in the future. So let's plan to be the best future we can be. Okay. So, all right. So marketing is all about exposure and building trust in the community. So the 3 marketing tactics that I would recommend would be this. One is to own and dominate your market online. Okay. We've seen a dramatic increase in Google experience, and Google themselves have seen it. They love it because everybody's sitting at home, right? Everybody's sitting at home, and they're Googling a ton of different things. And so owning and dominating the market online is absolutely critical, and you deserve it. You deserve to own it if you're a dental practice in your local community, or if you're a national business, you deserve to own your sector, whatever that might be. And so we definitely want you to own that. Number two would be some type of direct response targeted marketing. What I mean by that is that just like Google themselves use direct response. Why? When it's not Google themselves, they actually use a direct mail. Google does. If you type in right now, Google Inc. uses direct mail, you get 20 pages of reports why they do. Well, it's simple this. It's because they're persuading people to consider them when they weren't thinking about marketing today with Google. Okay, they were thinking about marketing, but they didn't even consider them. So they were thinking of some other ad or some other local thing. And it's to persuade people to get to know, to think about Google today. That's why Google uses them. So does every top company out there, Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, they all do it. And it's a big thing to do. So number three is going to be key, is bringing certainty through social media that the health and safety is top priority for their clients or patients or whomever. Okay. And to do that, it's this relational aspect to marketing. It's really bringing that personal aspect to marketing. Unlike any other year before, this year has brought this level of personalism that if we don't do it and we don't make that link, you're not going to be able to grow as much as you want to.
Okay, so let me dissect these three and let me see if I understand you correctly. I had to write them down because I'm not used to getting 3 points in a row. I love it. I feel like I'm at church here. Okay, so number one, market domination. Market domination. I think I get that. Online market domination. So that means every time I go anywhere online, I can see Dental Revolution. That's the goal if I'm marketing your company, correct?
Right.
Okay. Where I kind of get a disconnect, and I want you to speak to this because I know if I think this way, that so many other businesses out there, in no matter what field, I'm sure even in the dental field, and that is this direct mail. I got to tell you, my immediate thought goes to, I'm going to talk like the double side, right? The little angel on the left hand and the little demon on the right hand, right? So whenever I get something in the mail, I immediately say, that's interesting, file 13. And I'm thinking now as a business owner, okay, I'm in the high-end business consulting. We're charging thousands of dollars per month. The last thing I want to do is put my name on something that is being mailed out to them, like a postcard or something of that nature. I immediately think of like pizza, right? Because I love pizza. You know that about me. I love pizza. So I'm immediately thinking like pizza. I don't think that's what you're referring to here. I think you mentioned Nordstrom. I've actually gotten things from Nordstrom. I've never been there in my life. I don't know why I get stuff from Nordstrom, but whenever I receive something in mail from there, it was nice. Now, I still went to the trash, but it made me think about them, and it was super nice. So just because we're direct mailing something as a business doesn't mean it has to be lower or less quality than what we desire. Am I thinking logically through my thought process?
Oh, absolutely. Like if it was Mercedes, if it's Mercedes, their marketing material should match the level of service when you're buying a $150,000 S-Class Mercedes. It should feel the same thing. That's why Ritz-Carlton, they use direct mail. Four Seasons, they use direct mail. Why do they do it? It's because, again, it's that top of mind exposure. When you go to, if you're going to go buy anything, the top two reasons why you're going to buy it is because of trust and urgency. Okay. If you know that you need to go to a hotel, well, that's great that you have that urgency to go online to look for it. But if you've been marketed 4 or 5 times from Four Seasons, that's going to be the first place that you start looking. Okay. Same thing like with any product out there. It's all about trust. It's like dating, right? We didn't go marry our wives the first time that we met her. It was because we had other exposure, right? We had exposure, building that trust. Same thing in marketing, in any kind of business. It's about building that trust. And that's where targeted direct mail still works today. It's actually the response rate that we track everything we do. The response rate is better in 2020 than it ever has been. We've been doing it since 1995. It's never been as good. Why? Because everybody's glomming to Google, right? It's opening up that market. USPS is actually getting even better with their tracking and all kinds of different things. So it's a no-brainer. Our 87%, this is the key thing, 87% of our top doctors doing $1.5 to $2 million plus per single doctor, 87% of them use targeted direct mail. Why? Because it drives that right type of business into their practice.
So let me interpret what John just said for those who don't understand dental speak. Those are the best in class businesses. Those are the top 1% of all dentists in the country. And if you're listening to the top 1% of all dentists use direct mail, and friends, it's not just dentists. We see it in a number of different businesses. John named about 7 of them off real fast that I was listening as I was listening, write them down. So the top 1% are using direct mail. Let me ask you a question then, Mr. Listener or Mrs. Listeners are riding down the road. Hopefully don't go on the ditch on this one, but here's the question. Have you ever considered direct mail for your business? I got to tell you, every time I've considered it, and I've candidly, John, I've never done this, and maybe I should. In fact, as I'm listening to you, I'm going, man, listen to this wealth. I mean, this is like wealth nuggets right here you're dropping down. I mean, wealth bombs. It's amazing.
Can I give you one more thing that I think that'll be important?
Please don't twist my arm any harder.
One more thing. Okay. One more thing. Dr. April Zigley up in Washington, she hired a new consultant that came in and says, we're going to get rid of your direct mail. And she goes, oh, no, you don't. And she goes, well, why is that? And she says, well, I'll just tell you. I had a patient that saved all 7 mailers, put them on the fridge. Now, who does that, right? But this patient did, put all 7 on the fridge and says, at the 7th one, she goes, I need to give her a call. She not only got 7-8 units of veneers, so that's for everybody else is $7,000 to $10,000. Then she had her her husband came in and another 7 or 8 units. Her husband's mom came in, full arch, and her mom's boyfriend came in. So she goes, John, I made probably 50 grand off of that one mailer, but it had to happen 7 times to persuade that lady to come in. That's a perfect example of how targeted direct mail persuades people to come in.
Well, and then you gave me a third one that says to be, I think you said, authentic. I wrote the word authentic on social media. I think that's what I heard you say. Yep. And I've noticed that this year in 2020, that those individuals, those business owners who took to the airways to speak truth, calmness, perspective into their customers or their suppliers and the vendors, man, they are running like gangbusters right now. And I think it goes to that exact point.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that exposure to the person. And instead of just hiding behind the company, it's getting out in front of that person, in front of your marketplace, to share that certainty and that calmness, like you said, and really giving that patient or business or client, prospective client, the ability to see you. There's so much trust there, and we've seen it go gangbusters, both on Instagram and on Facebook, both.
So let's change gears a little bit. And friends, this is going to seem like very sporadic questioning. This is not my typical logical progression. I wanted to use John's wisdom as targeted as possible for some very tactical questions. So this one's going to feel like it's coming out of right field, but I need this perspective to understand where we're looking at. So John, my second question is this. With COVID causing businesses to now see an increased workforce that is working remotely. So we're having where typically a receptionist maybe at a dental practice is now virtual, or maybe they're doing things differently because of the masking issues, or typically there'd be a collections person, maybe someone doing payroll bill keeping. They used to sit in the office physically. Now they're working from home. Right. Should we change our marketing tactics as a result of this remote workforce that not just the dental community is seeing, but so many business owners are seeing right now?
Absolutely. There's no doubt. And we actually have done that. And hence, I mean, if you look here, I'm working remotely, right? Is that I worked 18 years at Tyson Steel's Dental Revolution in an office. Well, COVID came, I'm at home. And so 56% of the companies worldwide have remote workforces now, which is insane. I never thought that I'd ever do it because we didn't need to, right? But it's changing. So what do? Well, we and I'm going to bring you back to church here for a second. But I'm going to give you 3 things. I love giving applicable things that people can walk away, and if this is all they need and they don't end up hiring us, that's fine, because this is all that they needed, right? And I'm grateful for that. So let's give you 3 things. So the 3 things that really stand out to me, we kind of touched on it already with social media. But it's videos. Videos are so good. So here, I want to get out of the world of dentistry for a second and say that if you're a founder in a company, or if you have just a product, you're just selling widgets, whatever that widget is, okay? But if there's a way that you can bring trust with getting in front of the camera to be able to talk about experience. Social proof. Here's a great term. It's called social proof. Social proof says other people have done it, so can I. And all videos can do right now, I mean, there's so much videos can do, but one of the major areas is, again, to show braces, it's hard to talk, social proof in the midst of this crazy time that we're in. So videos are a big thing to do that, to where that you can do product launches, talk about your Google reviews, do patient testimonials. One of the things that we'll talk about here in just a minute, as far as an area that we recommend for our doctors, is absolutely focusing on patient testimonial videos is absolutely key. Number 2 is personalized customer experiences. No longer are the days that it's just everything is cookie cutter. Okay, we're in an age where, especially the top echelon of businesses and products out there, like our doctors are, the patients are wanting a personalized, tailored experience in that dental practice. So that's what we have to give them. So it's an internal brand that we want to exemplify, that the patient is going to leave with something to talk about. And so that personalized experience is absolutely key. And you can figure out what that might look like for you. And then number 3 is influencer marketing. This is a little bit, the influencer is new to me, okay? But my kids, my daughter, a good example, yesterday, what day was yesterday? It was Amazon Day, right? It's where every UPS truck in the world is loaded with Amazon. Well, yesterday being Amazon Day, right, Prime Day, is my daughter goes on to YouTube and her Instagram, and she looks at her influencers. She wants to buy. Now, I'm a blessed man. When she says, I want to buy a cordless vacuum cleaner, she's 18 years old. Who does that? Well, my daughter does. And I'm not making this up. Lord knows my heart. Is that she said, one of my influencers recommends this vacuum, and it happens to be on Prime today. And I'm like, honey, we can get that for you, no problem. So we ended up buying it because of the influencer. Now, if you don't have influencers and you have a business that has a bunch of returning clients at whatever level, whether they're patients or clients buying a product or service from you, it's time to make those influencers. And what I mean by that is that a good example of what we do with our doctors is that when a patient is sitting in the chair, before they leave the practice, and when you're doing the big reveal, right? Because I'm about to get my braces off on November 9th. I'm going to tell the doctor, because he's not a client of ours, he's an orthodontist. I'm trying to get him to be a client. And I'm going to tell him, say, video me, and then I'll post that on my Instagram, okay? Perfect example is because it'll be genuine, it'll be real. They'll see my exact response right then and there. And it could be opening up a box of your product or service and videoing it, or it could be videoing it after you get it done, whatever it is that you sold them, okay? These are key, and then have them post it on their own social media, because now you have a link to 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000 people that you never had the ability to be able to tap into. So the influencer market is really the modern day word of mouth marketing, but it's done strategically, and it's all done by systems. If you have the system in place, it's a no-brainer. If you don't, it's this big pain in the neck. You have to, I have to get this video. Systems bring freedom, and I'll tell you, this alone will help you guys to be able to launch a whole new level of business in 2021. If you do it strategically and you actually pick out who your influencers are going to be and intentionally make them a key part of your business.
With so much uncertainty in the business world today, it has become more important than ever for owners to have a personal financial plan in place to weather all of life's storms. Heritage Investors helps small business owners achieve their financial goals through holistic wealth management services. For more information, visit heritageinvestor.com.
So those are some nuggets there, John. Man,
I'm telling you, man, this is what we do.
That's it. So
the big thing is those three. How much did those three cost?
Oh, those are relatively inexpensive. All you had to have is a camera on your smartphone.
Have a camera and have diligence and have systems. It's what it is. It's that just having them to be part of your systems is really the key.
Well, here's the thing, though, John. As easy as that is, it's kind of like flossing. Flossing doesn't cost hardly anything. But let me ask you, friends, how many of us actually, let's be truthful, the dentists are not listening. Actually, there's a couple of hundred that listen. Anyways, the dentist, your dentist is not listening to this right now, so they're not going to hear your conscience. Do you actually floss daily or weekly like your dentist tells you, depending on what your dentist tells you to do? Chances are no. Why? Because it's too easy and we don't think it works. Kind of like diet and exercise. Wisdom, what is the old saying? Knowledge without application leads to stagnation. We just had some knowledge bombs jumped on us. My challenge to you is this: take your camera out on your smartphone and do some video message to your customers. Say, hey, I just wanted to let you thank you for being a customer. You'll be amazed just on that what it'll do for you. So if you put all three of these together, holy cow, any bar of the door. So that leads me to my third question then, John, is, you know how I believe whenever we're dealing with driving the value of a company through the roof. I firmly believe that we must have written marketing plans. I believe that a plan should be in writing. I believe it should be quantified and measured. But where I often run into is that people have different views on what should be included in the marketing plan. So from the expert himself, what do you include, or what do you like to see included in a marketing plan?
When you just asked that, I'm like so excited, because the fact that that's the meat and potatoes of everything that we do. It has to be quantifiable. Yep. It has to be a way that you can apply it to your business. If you can't, we won't do it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Period. It's all about, there's two things that kind of are the umbrella for this. It's about traffic and conversion. Okay. Mm-hmm. Traffic and conversion. Traffic is up to your marketing firm generally to drive traffic into your company. And then conversion is up to you. Okay. If you think for a second that conversion is up to your marketing firm, you're so wrong. Is because if your team can't answer the phone and convert patients or convert people to buy your product or service, they just don't have the right training, or your marketing firm is not driving in the right type of a client or lead. So with that kind of overarching umbrella, this is where we focus on what we call the power of the 4 quadrants of marketing. I'm going to give them to you. So this is 4. So I did two sections with 3. This is 4. All right. So the first area is just that, is that you part of your marketing plan needs to focus on conversion, tracking, and training. Here's the quantifiable portion of it. If you're a business owner and if you came to me, let's say you're a dental practice and you're wanting to grow, one of my first questions is going to say, you want to get X number of patients, or I'll put myself in a situation where it's a non-dental. You want to have so many more clients coming through the door. I'm going to ask you, first question is, how many calls are you generating right now? And how many of those are you converting? And let's just say, I'm just going to use a number. Let's just say you have 100 calls coming in every month, and you don't know that, but you have 25 new clients every month. Well, that's a 25% conversion ratio. Well, our doctors, we want them to do a 70 to 85% conversion ratio, because we know the type of leads that are coming in. We know how to drive them in. We want them, and statistically proven is that we know that they can get 70 to 85% conversion. Okay. So not in every market, not in every product, or if you have a 10,000 mailing list, and you're trying to get an extra 50 sales, what's the people that call you? It's not the 10,000 that we're looking at. We're looking at how many actual calls were driven in, and how many of those were actually sold a widget or a sale or what have you, really to build that value. Okay, so conversion is number 1, and 70 to 85% is the quantifiable. Number 2 is retention, is you need a retention tool. Is that you need to figure out, okay, what is my retention in my company? This doesn't sound like a traditional marketing, but here's the problem. The great late Zig Ziglar, and you've probably listened to Zig before he passed. I love Zig, and one of the things he said is this. He goes, if you don't close the door to the back door to your business and keep the people that you have and sell them more of your products or service, you're no business at all. That hit home to me when I first heard it in 2002. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty big, bold statement to say that if we're not helping our current clients to buy more of our products or services, we're not really in business, right? Because we have this huge revolving door. Mm-hmm. So retention, our doctors, we want to see 85% of the members coming through the door to stay and be active in the practice. Now the back door is closed, they're growing the business, okay? That's number 2. Number 3, part of your marketing strategy is really internal referral development, okay? These are all free, mind you, people. Is it the first 3 that I gave you are all free, okay? Is it the influencer, okay? The internal referral development, 1 to 2% quantifiable, 1 to 2% of your actual active clients in your practice or in your business should be referring to you every single month. Now it depends on your buying cycle, of course, okay? But in the world of dentistry, we expect it every month, okay? It might be 1 to 2% in your business, might be a little bit higher or lower, or it might be every 4 or 5 months, okay? But in dentistry, we know it's 1 to 2% every single month should be referring. So if they have 1,000 patients, we expect to see 10 internal referrals every single month, and if 10 to 20. Okay. If they have 5, well, their systems are broken. Now, this area where we focus on internal referrals is an area where it's not just asking. Okay. What's broken is their brand. It's not because they're not asking, it's their brand. They're not leaving the patient with something that has that wow experience, going back to that customized experience. When you leave a business or a product or service, you should talk about it. You should go to tell your friends about it, right? When you leave that day, you should be talking about it. If they're not talking about it, it's on you, it's on me, because as a business owner, we have to give them that wow experience. So that's number 3. And then number 4, part of your plan is tapping into new people groups. Who are they? Who are the new people groups that you should be tapping into? And this is the area where you invest externally, okay? Super important. If you're a business owner here on this call or on this podcast, and you are not focusing on number 1, 2, or 3, all those internal elements, and you're just investing externally. Now, there's doctors out there, there's business owners that do this all the time, okay? But I'll tell you, you're investing too much. Why? Because you're leaning too much on the external and you're not fixing the things internally, the conversion, the retention, the internal referrals. All of those things should be working for you. But if they're not, you're spending too much externally to really compensate for your weakest areas internally, okay? So those are the 4 areas. We call it the power of the 4 quadrants. Single doctor practices in 1 year, because we focus on this, I've been able to help them get, in this single doctor practice, mind you, that might have been $1 million or $1.2 million, be able to bring in an extra $500,000 in 1 year because we fix the things internally, okay? A shared client of ours that Justin referred to us in Minnesota came to us because they were lacking new business, okay? Well, they came to us and gratefully, I'm so grateful that Justin referred him to us in December. But December didn't have a lot of time before COVID hit, right? Yep. Well, even now, because of what we've been doing, focusing on the 4 quadrants, they've already doubled their new business in just 5 or 6 applied months, 8 or 9, of course, full months, but dentistry was down for 2.5, 3 months. And so they've already done that because they're working on this. There's no magic pill here in marketing. It's systems and making sure you know all 4 of these areas. So your marketing plan should really hit all 4 of these areas and then focus on one of these areas every quarter. Why? It's kind of like free throws. If you suck at free throws, focus on those. Don't do 3-pointers, or vice versa. If you're good at those, don't focus on those. Focus on the area of what you're weakest at. And then next quarter, regrade all 4 quadrants, and then you can focus on your weakest link there. So that's how our doctors are so successful, because they're never guessing at their marketing. You shouldn't be guessing. You should know exactly which area to focus on because of the metrics in your practice or business.
And John, as you speak to that point, it doesn't matter if they're a doctor, if they're a tire repair person, if they're building swimming pools, whatever it is, the same principles apply. If I'm trying to teach somebody how to double their net worth every 3 to 5 years, it all boils down to that word you use consistently, and it's a system. And this system of conversion, retention, internal referrals, and then focusing on new people group is applicable outside even the medical field.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's what we do in our practice. maybe I don't haven't termed it exactly the way you just phrased it, but it's the exact same thing we do in our practice. So, man, guys, I'm telling you, there's a reason why he is the best in the dental marketing world. Listen to what John's saying here. But as you were talking, John, I want to kind of revisit that client. Obviously, we can't talk about the specific names on this individual, but I remember in COVID. So they engaged you in December of last year. We knew they had to increase their marketing plan. I actually have a quantifiable market plan so I can get their business where it is doing what I need them to do for net worth growth, et cetera. And so they engaged your company as a dentist. They began working on the structure, actually starting to lay the foundation to begin work. And then COVID hit March. They're shut down for almost, I think it was 11 weeks in this practice, shut down, no patients can see. And I got a question. In the middle of this thing, they said, Justin, John's team with Dental Revolution, they have us a program here that the plan, which we launched in December and January, says we should be doing the following things. And there was a litany of things that need to be done. Yeah. Well, Justin, I think we should pause that because we're closed. And John, I can remember the conversation I had with them. They said, Justin, we shouldn't be marketing right now because we're closed. And I said, time out, guys. This is the absolute best time to market. And they kind of looked at me like a calf looking at a new gate. They're like, Justin, have you lost your mind? I said, no, marketing is not about turning a valve on and turning it off. It's about trying to levelize the flow of patients, in this case, or clients that come into the practice or your business so that you can create solidified and quantified projections for how you run the business going forward. And they just said, Justin, that doesn't make sense. I said, okay, do me a favor. Will you trust me? I never forget, John, and both these individuals, they said, absolutely. I said, okay, let's follow the marketing plan. I know that you're not in business. You can't even go to the office and work, but let's market. And because of that, we saw the results. So, John, my question is this. How do you answer, I mean, that's an illustration that I've seen, but how do you answer those individuals who say, I need to go out now and market because I don't have patients. And then when our clients or customers or whatever it is, and all of a sudden they have customers because marketing works, then they turn the marketing off or slow it down. Then they go to this tidal wave approach. I mean, it's like so infrequent. How do you deal with that, or how do you coach people around that point?
I mean, it happens all the time. Okay, it's a very common question, and I get it. Is that when it gets to be good, they say, well, I can pause, right? Well, the very simple question is this: how long do you want to grow your farm or give it away? Or better yet, how long do you want to be in demand versus being kind of status quo? And they're all the 100% of them will always say, I always want to be in demand. The reason why when they started with us, they weren't in demand. Their pipe, if we look at it like a flow of water, their pipe was at a trickle. Okay, there wasn't enough water in the pipe because they hadn't turned it on, and it's 100-yard or 100-mile, let's say, pipe. It takes a long time for it to fill up. Okay, but once it starts filling up, it's going to start to generate what we'll call critical mass. Okay, right. And it's the doctors that have that critical mass. So if you want to start growing and start to attract more business in 2021, okay, you have to start now. Right. And it may not be with us. That's totally fine. But the fact of the matter is that you don't have enough demand in the marketplace, because where you're at today is not because of what you did yesterday. It's because of what you did 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago is where you're at today. So my question is, where do you want to be in a year? Do you want to be in a cash flow positive situation? Do you want to have enough business to where you can start? I mean, this is key. With dentistry, we tell them, say, listen, it's your ability to be able to control the demand. And what I mean by that is that get rid of those crappy insurances, okay? Mm-hmm. Get rid of the patients that you don't like, okay? Get rid of the bottom dwellers, what I'll say, just the price shopping people that aren't looking for an expert. And you can use this in any business. I don't care what business you're in. It's having that demand. So the question is, if you want demand, then you have to control the demand by filling up your pipe. There's no other way to go about it. You can't just wish it to come. You can't just wish your bank account had $1 million of cash. It has to be done because you have to be systematic about doing it over time to have that type of response. So if it's fill your pipe, if it's I want that demand, then it's about creating that demand. And I love it to where I always tell doctors this, and even that doctor out of Minnesota, the 2-doctor practice, I say this, I say, our conversations, if you follow it today, our conversations are going to be totally different in a year. Yep. You're no longer going to be talking about cash flow. You're no longer going to be worried about new business. You're going to start to be in control of the future of your practice. You can start to shape it, work less days, make more money. I'll give you a good example, quick example. One of our doctors said, John, I'll do whatever it takes to be able to fill this pipeline because I don't want to be lacking control. He started with us. He was doing 192 days a year. 10 years later, he's doing 108 days a year. He was doing 700,000 in revenue. Now he's doing 4 million on half the number of days. Okay. He's 43 years old and having the time of his life. He just stopped taking children, even though he loves children, but he stopped taking children because he didn't have any room because he has only adult restorative patients. So you can apply this to whatever business, okay? Right. It's because he's in so much demand that his competition, I'm not making this up, his competition has come to him, Justin, saying, hey, can you do me a favor and just, I know that you own Google and direct mail, okay, exactly what we want him to do, but can you not go on Bing or Yahoo or newspaper because that's where I'm going to go. And he was like, you go, you're fine because I'm not going to go on Bing or Yahoo. All to say is that you control the market, you control your company, you control the demand, increase fees, increase profitability, increase time off because of what you've done to be systematic to control that. So that's where we go. That's what we get excited about. You can tell. And I love to help doctors at this level because, again, a year is going to make all the difference in their business or practice or what have you.
So, John, we have quite a few dentists and those doctors in that particular profession. Where could they learn more about you and your company?
You bet. You can go to dentalrevolution.net or dentalrev.com, and you can learn more about us there. There's a ton of case studies on there, testimonials. You can also, my email is simply john.riley, R-I-L-E-Y, at itrackllc.com, and Justin will give you that in the footer notes, but that's our parent company, and be happy to analyze. We do a lot of doctors as far as analyzing them to see if we're a good fit before you ever commit, and I'd love to help you to figure out, see if we're a good partner.
Well, sweet, John. We'll put all that information in the show notes, friends. So, look, you've just heard an expert in the industry, John, here, speak to the power of marketing. And as he's speaking to the power of marketing, I want you to think about, well, Justin, I'm not a dentist. I'm a veterinarian. Hey, Justin, I'm not a dentist. I'm a tire repair salesman. Whatever it is, principles apply. And there are John Rileys of your profession. You say, Justin, I don't even know where to start. Hey, reach out to the team. Look, our job through Heritage and the Heritage Business Alliance is to drive your net worth through the roof. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to utilize correct marketing in your business. So look, friends, man, John, thanks for being on the show today, brother. As always, you teach me stuff, and I'm blown away yet again, buddy. Thank you so much for being here.
Man, it's my pleasure. I love partnering with you because we're in alignment with the type of businesses that we offer and help, and it brings me great joy to be able to help and educate in this aspect.
Thank you, John, for coming today. Hey, look, friends, look, I want you to now take what you've heard. A lot of truth nuggets dropped in here. I mean, look, conversion, retention, internal referrals, new people groups. I mean, just that in of itself is worth your time listening to the episode today. So take what you've heard, now go apply it. You say, Justin, I don't know how to do that. Reach out to us. We can teach you how to do it. Look, friends, I get that life is hard. 2020 has been a year of crazy. I mean, like psycho crazy. Life is hard sometimes, but man, we are a blessed people. Life is good. Life is good. And life can be frustrating. It doesn't have to be. We're going to continue to make your life at least financially simple. Now, y'all go out and make it a great day. This tip is for informational purposes only. Please speak with a competent financial advisor regarding your specific needs. Justin Goodbread is a registered investment advisor with Heritage Investors. Visit heritageinvestor.com, financiallysimple.com for additional information.